How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Movie Blues. Today on the channel, we're going to be once again breaking down a list of found footage hidden gems. For those of you already subbed to the channel out there keeping score, yes, this is my 90th through 100th found footage movie recommendation. So if you haven't had a chance to check out the first 90 movies I recommended, now's a better time than ever to go ahead and sub to the Movie Blues. Once again, like with all of my list videos, these will be spoiler-free recommendations with the information on where to stream these films located in the title card before each selection. But for the rest of you who are patiently waiting, let's get this list of 10 more found footage hidden gems started.
The Decedent.
Anyone inside, please make yourself known.
From director Andrew Bowser, aka Onyx the Fortuitous, if that rings a bell.
I don't know. Arby's is pretty cool.
Comes one of the most shockingly brutal and surprisingly grim found footage movies in recent memory. The Decedent is a morose tale of supernatural possession set at a family-owned funeral home, where a young mortuary assistant named Belle is working after hours on a cadaver that seems to be hiding some powerful and horrifying secrets. This movie's footage itself is comprised of newly installed security cams from the funeral home, and a mix of different body cams to capture a night of brutality that unfolds once the work on the corpse begins. Some downright shocking plot subversions make for a truly fascinating lead character performance in this movie, as the Decedent takes some truly insane turns early on that only spiral out further into madness as the third act begins to brew. A well-acted, convincing, one-location found footage film that checks all the boxes for a pretty gnarly horror experience. The Decedent is a brutal and well-made movie built on some crazily morbid lore, and should be instantly considered in the upper pantheon of great recent found footage horror releases that fans of the genre should flock to immediately. So go ahead and grab your embalming fluid and your scalpel, because this is going to be an autopsy that you won't soon forget.
Found footage, the making of the Patterson project.
Oh, so I am recording.
Oh yeah, man, you're filming the whole thing.
Oh, so you're gonna be cutting this into the movie.
This is the movie, man.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Yeah, so am I.
Despite its seemingly generic name, found footage, the making of the Patterson project, is an incredible gift to fans of found footage horror, and one of the best genre-bending mashups I've seen when researching for one of these lists. This is a movie that balances humor and horror on a knife's edge, beginning as a light parody that follows a clueless film crew as they attempt to shoot a found footage horror movie about Bigfoot, and ending with torrents of blood and horror that actually unsettled me by the time the credits rolled. I found this movie somewhat similar to They're Watching, another great movie that landed on one of my lists, and like that film, the making of the Patterson project is a meta mockumentary at heart, with some truly impressive VFX and scares that bleed out of a truly bananas third act. Not only was this movie quite hilarious and horrifying, but it also managed to sneak in some great character work that made me feel actually invested in the fate of the filmmakers as well. A solid dramedy, a cracking mockumentary, and then eventually a blood-soaked splatterfest. Found footage, the making of the Patterson project, is a guaranteed win for movie night, and a new cult classic in the found footage horror world. Now grab your camera and your popcorn and get ready to go behind the scenes of the Patterson project.
The children under the house.
And what did you do last night?
Irrefutably original and surely unlike any found footage movie you've ever seen, The Children Under the House is an analog horror film solely comprised of children's drawings, therapists' notes, and text descriptions of a string of supernatural events. Like the recent Good Boy, or Presence, or Black Daruma, or In a Violent Nature, this is a story told in a format and from a perspective that we've never seen in a horror movie before. Without a human face in sight for its entire hour-and-a-half runtime, The Children Under the House takes the cliche of the haunted kid drawing scary stuff for their therapist and stretches it out to a feature-length runtime. While I didn't exactly love the third act here because it attempted to have a bigger and more cliched horror movie conclusion than I expected, the first hour or more of strictly drawings and narration were genuinely unsettling and convincingly presented. Never really expected to be so scared and unnerved by kids' drawings, but they are so realistically made and creepily foreboding that eventually they begin to burrow pretty deep under your skin. The filmmakers behind this movie obviously know that your imagination can produce horrors more potent than any CGI movie monster, leaving the heavy lifting up to the viewer to really scare themselves into picturing the movie in their minds from the comfort of their couch. And for the most part, this experiment is wildly successful because once this movie begins to click for you, you'll feel utterly engrossed by the ghost story that it's painting with nothing more than words and hand-drawn pictures. A truly interesting and frankly unique way to present a narrative, The Children Under the House is a chilling experiment that stands out as one of the most unique found footage experiences ever made.
What happened to Dorothy Bell?
She claimed that they told her to do things, bad things.
Despite the generic-sounding name and even more generic-looking poster, What Happened to Dorothy Bell is a uniquely eerie found-footage movie that will leave you disturbingly on edge. Unlike a large majority of found-footage films, Dorothy Bell takes its subject deathly seriously. This isn't a movie of goofy, frat bro characters and sex-crazed campers. Instead, What Happened to Dorothy is an actually elevated piece of horror storytelling that explores the topics of familial mental illness, grief, and hereditary trauma through the lens of a found footage film. Ozzy is a college student who is haunted by her morbid past, as she attempts to understand why her grandmother tried to kill her when she was just a little girl. That incident left her scarred, both mentally and emotionally, and the mystery of her grandmother's insanity is dredged up once again when Ozzy discovers a mysterious book at her college library that was once found in her grandmother's possession. With some light lore but some major scares, Dorothy Bell is an actually frightening film that uses the found footage format to pull off some utterly shocking moments throughout its brief runtime. For a believable horror film full of committed actors and some downright hair-raising scares, you want to investigate this ominous, nostalgic, and terrifying little slice of found footage familial horror.
Malibu Horror Story.
Full disclosure to the found footage faithful. Malibu Horror Story is about 80% found footage and 20% non. But don't let that deter you, even though it's kind of annoying. I mean, the 20% regular footage could have easily been filmed as found footage, but I digress. This is a punchy horror film with zero fat around the edges, a bone-crunching descent into subterranean madness that follows the investigation of 4 missing teenagers in the hills of Malibu, California. The fate of this hard-partying group of friends leads to a statewide manhunt, and we follow a paranormal investigation team as they attempt to debunk the swirling rumors and potential poltergeists responsible for the missing teens. This movie has got a lot of the elements that I love in a good found footage movie, from a unique antagonist with interesting lore to some really solid production value as the investigators bring thermal cameras into the cave where the boys allegedly went missing. Great practical effects, brutal kills, and a couple of truly memorable jump scares stand out in this lean and thrilling horror movie. While it isn't going to reinvent the genre, Malibu Horror Story still had enough original ideas, spooky creature designs, and homages to horror movies I adore, like Neil Marshall's The Descent, to leave a lasting impression. So pack up that camping gear and your thermal vision camera and get ready to investigate the Malibu Horror Story.
Strange Harvest.
I covered this movie in its own video on my channel about a month ago, but Strange Harvest is so good that it bears repeating on this list. Easily up there with Lake Mungo and Savage Land as one of the top horror mockumentaries ever made, Strange Harvest is a chilling serial killer yarn spanning decades of crimes in San Bernardino County, California, that have stumped investigators and the families of the victims alike. As the murders begin ramping up again, the police begin digging into the identity of the killer, unleashing a web of cosmic horror and ritualistic crimes that defy belief and disgust the general public. This movie utilizes body cams, crime scene photography, webcams, interviews with the detectives, and even some long stretches of just good old-fashioned found footage to tell a very uniquely shocking story. Fans of true crime will adore this film, with the majority of the movie feeling so realistic that an average viewer shouldn't be blamed for confusing this with a genuine true crime doc before things get really crazy. From the director of the found footage horror classic Grave Encounters, Strange Harvest is another all-time great for the genre that will leave you guessing and breathless. Make no doubt about it, this is one of the best found footage horror experiences of 2025 and quite possibly one of the greatest mockumentaries ever made.
The Triangle.
Do you think they're alive?
I think my definition of alive has changed.
A mysterious postcard from a distant friend kicks off the action in 2016's The Triangle, leading 4 filmmakers deep into the Montana Badlands to investigate a commune where their buddy has been living for several months. What this movie lacks in plot is easily made up for with stunning cinematography, a high production setting, and a central mystery that leaves a lot to the imagination. In a good way. The commune itself is populated with extremely realistic characters, and overall, this movie captures a level of immersion and realism that most found footage films struggle to achieve. During its fascinating setup, I'd easily believe you if you told me this was a real-life operating commune full of real people, and not a fictional film at all. Creatively using multiple cameras and multiple perspectives playing simultaneously, something I've really never seen in another found footage movie that I can think of, The Triangle eventually ramps up the tension so effectively that when shit finally hits the fan in this one, I felt my throat clenching for like a full hour. While sadly there isn't much of a resolution to this film, it leaves a handful of plot threads kind of just up in the air. The experience is unlike anything I've ever seen before. I was fully entrenched in the breakdown of this hippie commune, and it kind of felt like the Firefest documentary mixed with the Blair Witch Project. For a film that is documentary-level realistic while still managing to create some fascinating supernatural lore, it's time to join up with the cult and fall into The Triangle.
.388 Arletta Avenue.
Starring everybody's favorite John Connor. Wait, hold on, that's not him. Starring everybody's favorite John Connor.
The fuck are you doing?
No, wait, that's not him either.
Are you professional or not?
No, not him. Definitely not that guy. There he is. Anyway, starring Nick Stahl and Casper himself, Devon Sawa, 388 Arletta Avenue is yet another home invasion / spy camera found footage film that follows a very unlucky couple as they are methodically stalked and mentally tortured by a mysterious figure who has their cars, house, and even their workplaces lined with secret spy cameras. Much like the fantastic film Hangman from my last list, this is a movie that will make you feel like you're being invaded, stalked, and monitored in your own home, as Billy and his wife Amy slowly watch their world and sanity unravel during a tirade of mysterious events that seem to follow them everywhere. A truly tense, solidly budgeted thriller with some vicious plot turns. 388 Arletta Avenue is a particularly memorable and overall haunting chronicle of a couple under the vice grip of a murderous intruder. You'll be checking your basement, attic, and even the back seat of your car after this one, as 388 Arletta Ave leaves a dark and uneasy impression on the human psyche. Check this one out now.
The Jungle.
What do you think of this area we're going to?
People and animal, they just disappeared in.
What is it?
Something watching us.
This is a straightforward, uncomplicated creature feature from the director of one of my favorite killer crocodile movies ever, the Australian film Black Water. While that movie is far better than this, it isn't found footage. So, for the next best thing, we have this director's next feature, The Jungle from 2013. Following a pair of brothers who are wildlife experts chasing after a reclusive leopard in the Indonesian jungle, things go from bad to worse when one of the brothers develops an Ahab complex and decides to push the party further into the jungle interior despite the mounting evidence of an unseen predator. A lush location and some great creature FX moments were enough to make this a memorable ride. As long as you're not expecting anything too far beyond a Blair Witch-style romp in the jungle, then you should probably enjoy this movie well enough. The Jungle kind of reminded me of the fantastic found footage TV series The River, R.I.P., gone too soon. It was a show that I missed terribly after it was canceled before it found its footing. But yeah, like jungle, found footage, safari, demon adventure type vibes. Despite its lack of plotting and a minimal amount of creature action, this is still a fairly convincing found footage movie with dedicated actors in a dangerous real setting. Feeling almost like the cross-section between a Steve Irwin segment and a cryptid movie, The Jungle is a serviceable and brisk found footage horror film with a memorable antagonist and a few awesome jump scares to keep things tense until the final act. For some isolated jungle madness ripe with jagged teeth and snarling menace, The Jungle is a doomed safari that you can't look away from.
Man bites dog.
We've done it, guys. We have reached my 100th found footage recommendation on this channel. And for such an important number, I've decided to recommend one of the most important found footage movies ever made, 1992's Man Bites Dog. This Belgian French-language film follows the chaotically nihilistic Benoit, a mentally deranged serial killer who is plaguing the countryside of his hometown as a documentary crew follows him during his unforgiving spree. This movie is presented in glorious black and white 16mm film, and it shows because every frame of this movie looks like it's a painting. The contrast of the black and white image plays perfectly with the brutalist architecture of the time, and while this film had next to no budget, it is in a class of its own visually. So many movies owe their structure and identity to Man Bites Dog, most notably Creep, Be My Cat, A Film for Anne, Sergei Prokov, and hell, even American Psycho. Pretty much any film or found footage movie about a serial killing lunatic. Benoit is such a charismatic, unsuspecting psychopath who derives morbid pleasure from his work. And you can see his character type as an influence on so many serial killer movies to come after. This movie is beloved by Quentin Tarantino, Steve Buscemi, and is part of the Criterion Collection as well. Most importantly, this is an unshakable pillar of found footage. As important to the current state of the genre as The Blair Witch Project, or Paranormal Activity, or Cannibal Holocaust. Man Bites Dog is one of the first truly stellar examples of how to make a found footage movie on a shoestring budget, and is the blueprint for thousands of movies and TV shows to follow in its wake. Most importantly, it's just a fantastic movie, full of bombastically violent set pieces, and also montages where there's more happening in the span of 30 seconds than happens in most found footage movies in 2025. This is a movie that paints Benoit's insanity as something hilarious, morbid, tangible, and terrifying. Man Bites Dog is one of the most important serial killer movies ever made and is surely in my top 5 most influential films in the found footage genre. So it is my utmost pleasure to end my run of 100 hidden gems that I've worked on now for over 2 years on this channel with this monumental classic that all of you should experience. Hey, you made it to the end. You've now watched 100 found footage recommendations from your boy DS. You're welcome. It's been a splendid journey for me as well. So of course, if you liked what you saw in this video, start going through that backlog, throw a sub, give me a like, leave a comment. I appreciate every little bit. It all helps. What are your favorite found footage hidden gems? Which ones did I miss in this list of 100? Which ones are not on these lists that just happen to piss you off the most? And is it as above, so below? I saw it in theaters. I didn't think it was so good, but maybe I owe it a rewatch. Anyway, you got to tell me these things. So type in the comments below if there's anything that I'm missing, or if you just want to say hi, see how I'm doing, how's my mental health. Other than that, I'm DS Lyons. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and I will be back before the end of the year with a couple more videos to whet your whistle. All right then, everybody. Have a good night. Bye.
Because I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and I've seen all your movies, and I love your movies, and I think you're the best.